guys, welcome back. John again from Infinite Remote Control, and this is going to be an informal review of the Wheelie King 4x4. Well, not so much a Wheelie King, but also a Crawler King, and kind of just a mix of both. The reason that I call this an informal review is because I don't have anything written out that I'm just kind of going to go down in a list like I did for the MT4 review. I'm just going to kind of go off the top of my head and give you my opinions, but also tell you some things you can do to this car to make it awesome, and ultimately just tell you if it's a good buy or not. So this car is really old. I'm probably going to be the last one on YouTube to review this thing. But let's just get started with the body. I personally really like the styling of this body. It looks it has like almost like a Cadillac kind of grille, but then it goes into like a cross between a Chevy and a Ford, and the bed is just really long and the cab's up front. So it's just personally a style that I like, and you guys might actually see this on the Stampede. So this is a car that you really have never seen on camera, and I was able to get this through a friend for free by fixing up his cars, and because of that, he just gave me this car a couple months ago. I think maybe 8 or 9 months ago, and I had a ton of fun driving it. I drove it a lot. I made some major modifications to it, but now it's actually going to go to a poor child through through my church. So this is pretty much just going to be a kid's Christmas present, and it's just a donation to him. So yeah, that's pretty much where this car is going, and I've had a lot of fun with it. I just don't quite use it enough, and like to let somebody else have a lot more fun with it. So for the electronic system, this car is a Wheelie King. It's not a Crawler King, it's a Wheelie King. So it comes with the 27-tooth brushed motor. It also comes with the HPI EN-1 ESC. Neither of these are waterproof, and but they are, and they're both only brushed capable. The ESC just kind of fits in there like that. I'm still just trying to clean this car up. So on your traditional Wheelie King, the tires would be flipped the other way. As you can see, the steering is back here where the battery tray is. Typically, the steering would be up front. The servo would stay there but flip around. So as you can see in here, the servo would actually be flipped. The steering link that comes down here goes through this arm and then comes out as that pin, which then drives. It's just a pretty traditional setup in terms of how the wheels steer, but how the steering gets there is not so traditional. It's all symmetrical in the back, so just by flipping this around and flipping the whole hardware to the other side of the car, which is very possible to do, you turn it in between the Wheelie King and the Crawler King. So with the Wheelie King, you're going to have an included wheelie bar that mounts to the back where the battery tray is, kind of like that. And then by doing that, of course, you're going to have your wheels up front, and all of the weight is going to be in the back with this battery, and there's going to be absolutely no weight in the front. And from the gearing, I'm still running stock gearing, and it's insane. You just have so much torque. It will just lift the car up just like that, no problem, and then you just do your wheelie. It also comes with this sway bar that you attach just like that. You can see that. And basically what that does is it does not allow your rear to do that. It keeps your rear locked in place, so all you can do is up and down motion like that. There's no possible way to twist it like that. And that was something that I had to remove to allow it to be a rock crawler. Yeah, so now that you really know how it got to be a rock crawler, I'll tell you a little bit of how it performed. I ended up locking the differentials completely with an epoxy. Here, let me show you what I have. It's just it's a metal epoxy, auto and plumbing repairs. You can pick it up at your local hardware store. Metal hand moldable. It's just kind of like a putty that dries within a few minutes and just turns into a solid rock kind of concrete within your differentials. So that actually works great until, as you can see, the diffs are very locked. Whenever I go to turn, they just slide. But whenever you have a ton of torque running through this setup, well, you have plastic wheels and plastic wheel hexes, and that much torque doesn't exactly mix. So as you can see, thankfully the wheels are very, very soft, so you're not actually stripping out the inner hexes of your wheels when you do that. But it really holds it back in terms of crawling. I found that you can wrap just one layer of masking tape around it, and it'll make it a much tighter fit. You could even go as far as super gluing the wheel hexes to the tires themselves, or to the wheels themselves, and there would be no slipping there. Or what I did was I just went to aluminum wheel hexes on it. I put the XL5 ESC into this car along with the waterproof Traxxas servo with this car, just to make it a waterproof car, and it worked great. Still don't have any rust. I went ahead and put on the Traxxas servo saver. This is not the stock, or no, sorry, the servo horn, not servo saver. As you can see, it's just a solid piece of white plastic, and the stock servo saver was junk. And with as much play as there already is in this car, I can literally hold the servo horn and turn the tires entirely. There's no point to have a servo saver on this car. So you just go straight to the solid servo horn and you'll be absolutely fine. The turning radius was decent out of the box, but then once I locked these diffs, there's virtually no turning radius. As you can imagine, let's see what else is there. The steering is, well, it really just sucks. I mean, the setup that they have on here, it's not a great car. If you could pick one up for $100 used, and you live in like a rocky, kind of outdoorsy area, you're gonna absolutely love this car just because of how much fun it is to take over obstacles. It can literally get over just about anything. Of course, it's no competition rock crawler, but it is pretty decent at crawling. As you can see, there's the articulation that you have with this car, with no battery in it. That's another thing to bring up, your battery tray. So it's actually a really clever design, and they were thinking ahead when they built this. So you basically just pop that open, and it accepts any standard size battery. You can simply slide in a LiPo, and then look at that. It actually has a place to put your outer terminals. So you can run batteries that look like this, as you can see, inside of this battery tray. And I just thought that was a really neat feature, especially for the age of this car. I don't believe that the ESC has a low voltage detection, but that's honestly okay. This thing doesn't burn through too much energy. So I know that this video is getting kind of long, and of course I've just been going off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, really, it isn't a great car. Again, if you can get it for $100 and the thing runs, you're gonna have a lot of fun with it. It's the kind of car that it's slow enough to give your kid, and he can really have a lot of fun with it over a pile of rocks or something. One thing to point out are the plastics on this car. As you can see, that's a plastic link right there. And what that does is that is supposed to not allow your tires to go in and out. Well, you can actually go like that with it. So, yeah, that's not a great feature. It's not a great thing that the car can actually do that. But In terms of like the durability, that's the part that you're not gonna have to worry about breaking. I have not broken any part on this car, and it has tumbled over 100 feet down rock slopes, which is really amazing with how the car actually looks right now. It looks perfect, and how all the parts held up. It was surprising. All Phillips head screws on this car. And the last final thing is going to be the suspension. The suspension obviously is going to be great, and if I take out these preload spacers, I just have them in there because I'm about to donate the car. But if you take those out, the suspension becomes even more articulated and sluggish. Now, this really didn't dawn on me until I started to realize it. When you think about it, you have a lightweight battery and a motor. Basically, the only weight. Whereas you have huge differentials in metal drive shafts in this car. Whenever you drop it, there's no suspension whatsoever. As you can see, the springs are basically absorbing about that much, if that. That's because all the weight is on these tires. On a standard monster truck, full-sized, you've got massive motor, all of the steering setup, all of your weight is going to be up here. That's where whenever you drop it, your suspension's going to act like that. And you're going to have all the weight. But with a car like this, ultimately, whenever you're jumping, this suspension doesn't do anything for you. So, yeah, that's basically just what a solid axle RC is going to do with you. For you guys that only just got started in modern RCing, this is kind of how monster trucks used to look. And it's kind of nice to see this design out here. But of course, this is an old truck. So that really concludes my review of this car. I guess I'll give it a rating. I guess I'll just go down the list. Performance, it's going to be really low, like a 4. Even for what it is, it sucks. Fun factor, if you are a speed demon, live on a heavily populated street, it's going to be like a 0 for you. But if you live outdoors, this is a car that you can go take hiking with you on the trails. It's a car that you can just mess around with at a campsite. Then your fun factor is going to be like a 9 or a 10. In terms of durability, still haven't broken apart. And there's a full line of upgrades for this car, aluminum and also plastic, that aftermarket companies make. So ultimately, this car shouldn't get a great grade, but it does, and it is one of those cars that, you need to. I had a lot of fun with it, but it wore out pretty quick, and I think that should, just because I enjoy the true RC monster trucks, not something like this. So yep, that concludes my review of it. I really hope that I explained how you switch up the steering on this, and yeah, there we go. I hope you enjoyed the review. It wasn't very good. Just please don't give it a dislike if you're still watching, and talk to you guys later.